Hi, everybody. So nice to see all of your faces. Welcome to the very first workshop. This is sort of like a pre-launch workshop for all of the new mentors in the International Student Mentorship Program that will be launching in January next year. But thank you, Etta, for being here. Etta Wong is the director of the USC Hong Kong Global Office. She's also a seasoned coach and has an educational administrator with over 20 years of experience. She was previously the head of student development MBA programs at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. And she also previously worked as the managing director at Lee Hecht Harrison and led consulting projects on career transition, talent development, and coaching services with Fortune 500 companies. Etta has been a fantastic partner for the mentorship program. She did this workshop last year for the inaugural year of the mentorship program, and it was a big hit. And so we agreed to offer it again this year, but a little bit earlier, just to give our mentors some training and preparation for the program so that they can kind of hit the ground running with their mentees when the program launches. So very excited to have Etta back and excited to learn with all of you again.
Thank you, Eddie. I'm so excited coming back to this workshop. We did it last year, and when I returned to USC campus, I met the mentors and got really positive feedback, not only from my workshop, but the whole thing, the whole program that Eddie has initiated. So I'm very excited that the number of mentors and the mentees have been increasing, and we are able to support more and more international students. So as Eddie mentioned, I have been in education for quite some years. So half of my career actually is working with international students. I'm also having the MBA programs prior to joining USC. So I work with over like 30 nationalities. As you know, job market is getting difficult and challenging. And that is even more difficult for international students. And I'm glad that you are able to help them in all ways. So before we kick off the workshop, I hope that we can also get to know each other, because that is the very first workshop that you come to get to know each other. So I want you to maybe say your name, your affiliation with USC, your profession, a few words only about your mentoring experience. And we'll start with a popcorn style. So if I can invite maybe Emmanuel, so your name, profession, a few words about your mentoring experience.
Oh, sure. My name is Emmanuel. I go by Manny. I work for AT&T in engineering and network services. For AT&T, I've been in that profession for 25 years, managing AT&T network and, with 5G and then the equipment inside. And that's my profession.
Your mentoring experience?
I don't have a mentoring experience per se, but I've been, doing volunteer here and there, just, local mentoring in churches and, local community centers. That's it, but not for anything like USC.
That's good. So we're in popcorn style. Why don't you invite someone?
Invite someone? Is that what you said?
Yeah, can you invite someone to have his introduction?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's see. How about Fatima?
Thank you, Amy. Hi, everyone. I'm Fatima. I graduated last year from USC Price with my master's in health administration. Currently, I work at Cedars-Sinai Hospital as a project manager, managing the international collaborations. My mentorship experience, I have a very little mentorship experience. I volunteered with my school to mentor the incoming students, the students who applied for the program, and just give them like some overview about the program and help them with their applications. It was a very brief experience, but I'm really interested in this because I got a lot of benefit out of this program when I was a student, and I really want to help international students to navigate their way in the US. Ratuja? I hope
You
I
got it.
pronounced
I'm surprised. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Rituja, and I graduated from USC in 2015 from Viterbi. I currently work with Google. I'm a solutions consultant here in their hardware engineering team. My mentorship experience has been very informal. I have mentored some interns here at Google. I have mentored a lot of students from India back home who are wanting to come here with their initial process of applications, picking universities, etc. And I was ready after 8 years of industry experience and having been a mentee to some amazing mentors. I was ready to kind of switch roles and hopefully contribute something to my alma mater.
Thank you.
I will pick someone next. Let's go with Marlene.
Hi. So my name is Marlene. I go by Mimi. Either's fine, but I graduated from the PIBS PhD program in 2021. I did like a 6-month postdoc or so and then left into industry, but currently am unemployed between jobs. Nonetheless, hope that doesn't happen for the mentees, but I have a green card now, so it's okay. Nonetheless, as for my mentorship experience, I was a mentor for the PIBS program at USC. And also at the startup that I worked at, I essentially mentored all of the research assistants and incoming lab staff. Yeah.
Hey, next one. I mean, would you like to invite someone?
How about Grace?
Grace. I think you have been muted. You have asked to unmute. You have to unmute.
Yeah, forget. Sorry. I graduated biological science from Dorset, and then I went on to environmental engineering at Viterbi. And I worked as a water resource planner for Metropolitan Water District of Southern California for 35 years, and just retired not too long ago. And I was a mentor at the last session, and of course I have very good experience. I feel that I can really be a friend and an encourager for someone who is alone in the US for the first time. So that's why I rejoined.
Thank you, Grace. Feel free to also share your experience during our workshop.
Okay, sure. How about Tay Costa?
It's pronounced Thai. Hi.
Hi, sorry.
I graduated in 2018 from Price, and I currently have a development company just investing in real estate and some securities. I don't have much mentorship experience, to be honest, but in previous places of employment, I was supervising junior managers and interns, and with that always came some level of mentorship. That's it. I don't know who hasn't gone yet. See, Chris? Just Chris, no last name.
Chris is our staff, so you have to pick.
Of all the people I could have picked.
Maybe
okay, Victor?
Yeah, you can raise your hand if you have. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Victor. I actually graduated last year, so 2022 from USC. Profession, I actually a data analyst for a fintech company right now in San Francisco. I was in the mentorship program last year, doing a couple of internships when I was when I was on campus, when I was a student as a mentor or a mentee. But yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you, Victor.
Popcorn to Henry.
Henry? Henry, are you here? So
Henry-
why don't you pick
Henry Lee.
another one?
Oh, yeah.
I think Henry is not here.
Okay, if nobody is there, I can do.
Yes, please.
Yeah, my name is Balakrishna Vasista, Bala for short. I have 42 years experience. I retired now from US Air Force or defense companies. About 2.5 years, I mentoring at USC and other places, LMU. I did attend our Viterbi for architectural engineering, ASC, SAE, yeah, engineering and architecture. I do mentor undergraduate, graduate, including PhD students, and also in Torrance, other students. You do GED or something.
Mhm.
That's all, I guess.
Great, thank you. Who hasn't, please raise your hand. So
I can go next.
okay.
Thank you. Firstly, sorry for the inconvenience. There's some issue with my camera, so I cannot turn it on.
It's
My
fine.
name is Anuradha, and last year I graduated from USC Marshall, and I did my master's in entrepreneurship and innovation, which was an amazing experience. And this summer, I recently went to Harvard for a project management executive course. And post that, currently, I'm working on my own business venture. I'm starting an eco-friendly co-working space in India. I have some prior mentorship experience as a student volunteer in Teach for Los Angeles when I was currently a student there, and also some voluntary experience in LA Mission around USC. Yes,
Great, thank you.
thank you so much.
I think you have Shu Chen, right? To pick up.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Su Chen Xiao. I came to USC in 1987 as an MSW student. I'm currently a faculty member at MSW program. I've been here about 13 years. I have been kind of self-nominating myself to be the international student faculty advisor, as well as I've been the faculty advisor for the Phi Alpha Social Work Honor Society. So I'm really interested in mentoring our international students and really helping them with their career focus. I also do a lot of international collaboration, community immersion with China, Taiwan, and different countries. So looking forward to be a mentor to help some students, because I didn't have one when I was a student, so I wanted to help them out.
Okay, thank you. That's great. We have such a diverse group here. Who has not been introduced and wanted to share your background to the group? Please just
I can go.
turn on your mic. Yeah.
Can everyone hear me?
Rosemary, yes, we can.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, everyone. My name is Rosemary. I graduated USC from the Strategic Public Relations Master's Program back in 2021. And currently, I work as a campaign analyst for the crowdfunding platform Indiegogo. And then for the mentoring experience, I have similar experience advising students, both domestic and international students, back in my undergrad at UC Davis. And then I was also a volunteer for a Summer Star program, which is an early start program for international students for a couple of years. And then I also have my own podcast about international students and also their journey of, studying here, looking for jobs, and also just, their international student life here in the States. And then it's called You're Not Alone, the H1B talk. And then I feel like that experience has, been like really helping me. And then like previously I was a mentee for a Annenberg program. I wasn't sure if it's like the same as this one, but it has been really helpful. So I wanted to, shift to the other side and then pass my experience to fellow international students.
Great, thank you. That is a great group, no whether you have a lot of mentoring experience or you are totally new to that. And we are here to learn from each other. So everyone can see my screen, right? So let's continue the fun before we jump into the topic of mentoring. And what I would like to do is, okay, can you see that? In mentoring, you will be asked a lot of how and why and what to choose. So I would like to, have a warm-up game with all of you. So you will be, in each question, you will be given two choices, A or B, very simple, right? So if you would like to choose, you would like to pick up choice A, you have to raise both of your hands. Okay. If you would like to pick choice B, you would like to have the heart shape, hands put up on your head, on your head. Is that clear? Are you ready?
So everyone will have to turn on their videos then, right?
Everyone has to turn on your video, yes.
Okay.
As much as you can, okay? So let's start. So choice A, both hands up, and then B is hands above your head with heart shape. Okay, what do you want for your dinner tonight? Sushi or pizza? Okay, I can see more hands up. Okay, next one. If you would have a VIP concert, okay, would you like to go to Blackpink concert or you would like to go to Taylor Swift? Okay, I see more heart shape. Okay, next one. How would you like to describe yourself? As a leader or inventor? You have to choose either one. I know someone say, oh, I don't want neither. Okay. Okay, I see, Eddie, inventor. Okay. Christmas is coming. You want your house to have a white Christmas tree or a real Christmas tree? Okay, all of us. The real one. Okay. Last one. The Career Service Center will give you a Christmas gift because you are a mentor. You want a children's hoodie or your boys' hoodie? Don't make it wrong. Okay, thank you all for collaboration. It's just a warm-up exercise because in your mentoring process, this is one way that you would like to engage with your mentee as well. And agenda today is very simple. We'll go through what's mentoring, what's the role of a mentor or a mentee, and I will have 3 steps as a guiding principle for you in how you actually start your mentoring process with your mentee. So what is a mentor? What is mentoring? So as a mentor, you are probably someone more senior and more experienced. Some of you already have mentoring experience. Some of you have, are retiring. You probably have, over 20 or 30 years of experience. You are going to share knowledge, skills, and experience, insight, and give support to your assigned mentee. But one of the most important things as the role of mentor is to invite mentee to think differently about his or own challenges. It means that you share your knowledge to them and to let them actually have different perspectives. So as a mentee, what is important from your expectation is they would actually have the intention to proactively seek knowledge and express and share what they would like to go for their career, what they are expected from the mentor. Because it's actually a mutual volunteer relationship, mentee actually in his or her role should show strong commitment and receptiveness. This is something voluntarily done by the mentor throughout the mentorship program. It is all about excuse me, achieving the goal for the mentee, but not the goal for the mentor. So you will wonder what will be a good or bad mentor. What will be a good or bad mentee? I shared a little bit about the role, and now I would like to break into two. I think that right now we have 24 something, so two big groups, right? I mean, half of the group would discuss about good and bad mentor, and half would discuss about good and bad mentee. So Eddie, I think we can have about 4 to 5 people in a group, and you will have about maximum 10 minutes to discuss the topic. If you have been assigned to 1, 2, and 3, you will share about what is a good mentor, what is a bad mentor. If you are in 4, 5, 6, we will discuss about what is a good and bad mentee. So what are the qualities of being a good and bad mentor? What are the behaviors of being a good and bad mentor? Same as for the mentee.
Okay, I'm going to open all the rooms now.
So you will be assigned to the breakout room, and then we'll come back to the big room for debriefing. So I see you very soon, and then we will give you the time. Okay, let's go.
Join room 5.
I think maybe it's not 1, 2, 3 right now, right? Because they have 5 rooms. So I may need to let them know it's not. Hello, welcome back.
Welcome back.
Great. Hope that you have a good discussion to start with. Okay, if you have a great one, maybe you can use your emoji to have a thumbs up to let me know. Okay, so let's start with room number 1. For those who are late to come to the workshop, we are actually just finished a breakout discussion between a good bad mentor and a good bad mentee. And if I can invite room number 1 to share your just a high level conclusion about your discussions. Who would like to represent room number 1? Any volunteer? Who are in room number 1? I didn't.
Oh, hi. I think we just joined. I may have missed what you just asked. So what was the question?
Did you join the discussion, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you make a high-level summary about your discussion regarding good and bad mentor.
Yeah. So what we had kind of went over is that a good mentor, well, one knows their essentially the limitations are when to connect the mentee to another person that might know more than them or might be more knowledgeable about a certain situation. So essentially being self-aware, I guess. And another thing was a good mentor can go back to certain decisions that they made, whether it be career or life decisions, and reflect upon the different considerations that went into that decision and what other alternatives, what other alternative options there were, and not necessarily impose their opinion or their experience as the right way.
Okay, great. Eddie, if you find, could you also type up some keywords in the chat room so that we can recap the sharing from each room? Great. Okay, so not to impose reflection, let them know the limitation. It's a good mentor. How about room number 2? Grace, Henry, Shushan, any of you would like to share what you have discussed on a high level?
I'll try. Feel free to jump in, Grace and Harry. So I think we think that as a mentor, a good mentor is commitment and efforts and being a good listener. I think is more coaching than advisement. Understand what they're coming from and how can we be a resource and support. And I think Henry was kind of in the process of completing his thought. I think helping the mentee, we're living in a very diverse culture here in LA. So how do we engage them to have that cultural humility? How to engage with other students that may be coming from a different background? I think that's important. And really pay attention. Academically, I think most internationally are pretty good. But the life experience living in a new country, new system, and how to adjust to it, how can they use some of the resources and program that's available within USC and outside USC, and try to be that connector for them so they can, do a better coping or adjustment. I think that's really important. The cultural diversity, cultural humility it's probably the crucial component when you work with international students. Please feel free to jump in, Grace and Henry.
Okay, any other comments from room 2? I think you have highlighted a lot of great points, like what is the difference between coaching and advising, right? Commitment, listening. USC is one of the most diverse international university. So how can we actually broaden the mentoring experience, not only on career, but on cultural humanity on that? Great. Okay, if no more at the point, shall I invite room number 3? It's Thai William Balash. I still cannot pronounce, I don't think I can pronounce your name right. Rachuja and Baris partner. right?
Yeah.
And
Bala. Yes.
Anna, okay, great. Shall I, anyone? I mean,
Yeah, I can be the spokesperson for our group. So our group came up with 4 different attributes. Number 1 was active listening, which would help align, goals and expectations with mentor and mentees. Number 2 was not only maintaining a professional relationship, but also diving into having a more personable and personal relationship with the mentee. Number 3 was we touched upon consistency, more towards getting towards scheduling. So having a regular cadence of, meetups and meetings that would, solidify the relationship with the mentor and the mentee. And the last one was being a motivating factor, which would allow the mentee to achieve new goals and have that open mindset.
great. What a great point. And also done on earth, like scheduling, right? I heard from a mentor last time that one of her mentee didn't show up, and she opened the calendar and asked the mentee, okay, look at my calendar, pick up a point that I'm available. So as a mentor, how can you handle that? Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Will. Room number 4 that we now comes to mentee. What is a good and bad mentee? Any spokesman from room number 4? Rosemary, Victor, and Fatima. Maybe can I invite maybe Rosemary or Fatima? You want to say?
Yeah, that's okay. I can share, or Rosemary, if you want.
You can share and then I can add. Would that work?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, sure. So we talked about couple tries that we think it's contribute to being a good mentee, seeking knowledge or be showing ability and willingness to learn. So proactively asking question and reaching out to the mentor to kind of schedule meetings or direct the journey. So which topics or aspects of your student journey that you want to touch on. Also, Rosemary kind of touched on transparency. So we want to build reports or build confidence that the mentee is willing to share as much as they can to help us giving them answers or work with them. One thing that I think was very interesting that Victor touched upon was collaborative efforts, which shows that we're not only here to share, we're also here to learn. So it's our chance also to learn from the mentee and showing that this is something that works both ways, and we're not only the masters, we can also learn from them something. Rosemary, if you want to add something.
Great.
Yeah, I think you covered them all. And then I just want to briefly touch on the point I mentioned about having the transparency and then building rapport. Because sometimes I feel like being an international student, it can feel, a little shy to share your experience with, the mentors. But I think for mentors, there's also this sense of almost like a responsibility to help create a safe environment so that mentees will feel comfortable in sharing.
Very good point. Thank you. Thank you for all this great sharing. Okay, so last one, room number 5, good and bad mentor. Anything to add on? I mean, from all the great points that have been shared.
Oh, sure, I'll go. We talked about, I'm sorry. Yeah, we talked about that a good mentee should have goals and aspirations, should come to the table with expectations, and know that there's boundaries, and that a good mentee should also communicate their expectations, what do they want to get out of the relationship between a mentor and mentee. And that a good mentee should also be someone that should take constructive criticism very well, that don't take it personal, because you can't just come and don't have goals and aspirations. I will ask you, what do you intend to achieve? And you should also know where you want to go. What do you want to get out of this? Someone said, if you're asking for a direction and you don't know where you're going, any direction can take you there. So that means you have to come prepared, bring something to the table, and know that it's a two-way lane. A bad mentee, we discussed, is someone that doesn't respect time, doesn't communicate if they're not going to be available, doesn't know that there's boundaries, doesn't have expectations, doesn't respect time of the mentor. So things like that. So I will leave it here for someone else to join, chip in. We lost Adi during the last few minutes.
Yeah, my laptop crashed, but I came back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, we have you now, right? I think lots of great points, and thank you so much, because all your key sharing leverage and echo a lot of my presentation, and then we can continue to share more deeply. Many of you actually talk about engaging with mentees, mutual sharing, how we set about boundaries, and goal and expectation. So I will start with engagement. This is what we would like to cover a little bit more, because in the mentoring and mentee process, to successfully start the relationship, you need to have an engaging dialogue. It means that the mentee is willing to share the expectation, the goal, something that they are struggling. Some we mentioned international students may tend to be a little bit shy. That may be true in a sense because they are in a foreign international country. They may not know the culture. Sometimes they also have language barriers. So how can we deal with that? Some of you also mentioned about being a mentor versus being a coach. So to give you a high-level context, there are a couple hats that we can wear, even though you are in a mentorship dialogue. So that you start from the left side, okay, and that will be a consultant, and all the way to coach on your right side. The dimension is from directive, that is completely just telling the answers, to actually on the right side, you have ask, that is more supportive. So on the left side, as a consultant, like a management consultant, a McKinsey one, often that the client expect advice, recommendation. So you tell them the answers directly. On the right side, if you are wearing a coach, you tend to ask more questions. And actually you are trying to let the coachee find their own answers instead of having you give them the answer or guidance. So there are two dimensions, and mentor tend to be in the middle. So sometimes you tell more, okay, you share more, and sometimes because you want to be in an engaging dialogue with the mentees and you want to dig deeply in your dialogue, you also ask questions. So in some critical time, you or very urgent questions from a mentee, so you may want to wear the hat as a teacher or consultant, but at some point when you start the mentor relationship, you want to have more time asking questions and show your support to your mentee. So an example, it's so easy that sometimes the mentor will come into what I call overtelling. Often that, every example, I just met actually a exchange student in Hong Kong, and he's doing a semester exchange at HKUST, an engineering software engineering student, really bright, talented. He wanted to work in Hong Kong after a semester of exchange. That is something totally new. And since that he knows nothing about that, he asked me and say, "Oh, Heather, how can I actually find a job in Hong Kong? I'm so excited in my experience in Hong Kong, and I want to understand more." So I met him a couple of times, and one of my learning and reflection is I have too much talent, because in a position that I find that I am much more an expert than the student. And this will actually block the student from telling why he wants to actually stay in Hong Kong. What are some of the reasons? So when I actually got the reflection, I talked too much and I stopped and I paused. And then a moment I asked him, oh, actually, what made you really wanted to stay in Hong Kong? He started sharing a little bit about his family, about his grandma and grandpa, how they actually moved from Vietnam, China, to the US. And now he really wants to come back to France to find and search for the root of his identity and etc. So be mindful of the time that you talk, advising, teaching, instead of you keep listening and mentoring. And one of the things is that we are so excited when we talk about what we're good at. But now the world change, career, horizon change, geopolitical change. Our past experience sometimes may not apply for today's environment or today's learning. So it's a reference, it's actually a sharing from the mentor, but don't overtell. And this is something that we will easily fall into the trap of that. So there are 3 things that I think that we all can start to a engaging mentor dialogue. First, it's called engage, action. Last step is partnering. So engage is more like when you're being assigned with a mentee, 1 or 2 mentees. How can you set the stage? How can you collect information? Action is when you have the 2nd or 3rd session. How can you continue momentum? How can you make smart goals that the mentee have the motivation to continue the action? And partnering, that could be a relationship that lasts not until the end of the mentorship program, but you and the mentee could also become lifelong friends and a partnering of his or her whole journey. So let's start with engage. My understanding, the whole mentorship program would start in January time. So you will know, right, Eddie? So you know you will be assigned with 1 or 2 mentees. And some of you also mentioned, how can we set up the expectation? So in coaching, we use the term ground rules. I think when you go to training, you often be asked about, okay, what are the ground rules in the workshop? So rules sounds a little bit rigid. So it's actually things that both you and also the mentee would feel comfortable to start with in the mentorship process. And some of the things that mentor and mentee are committed to follow. So for example, often you say confidentiality. So things that talk in the room would stay confidential so that the mentee would feel totally comfortable to share some of the personal struggles of what they are encountering. Some other things like punctuality or cancellation. Things change, the time schedule may come up to have some changes. Students are busy, you are busy. Is that important to you? Some people say, oh, it's not. I mean, I am fine. If you can just give me a half-hour notification, that's fine. Some of them, they find that, okay, punctuality is extremely important. So you set up your ground rules with the mentee. What are the locations? Some may prefer virtual because it's you're living far away from the campus. But some of the mentee may find that, oh, I do want to have maybe one, one-on-one in person to start with. So where will be the location that is more comfortable? Some of the mentee may say, oh, I'm fine to go to a coffee shop. But some may say, oh, I do prefer more private. Maybe is it possible that we can maybe, use a room in the career center and then we can have a mentoring process. That varies as well. Other things like respect, frequency of interactions may also set the expectation between you and the mentee. So I would like to ask you, okay, maybe some of the things that you think are important that hasn't been mentioned as your ground rules between you and the mentee. Anything that you can think of, you can just jump into chat room. You can type up on the chat room, or you can just open your mic. Anything else as a ground rules that you think are important for that?
I think another thing that I would like to start off with is, what are they looking for from the mentorship? Like, is it more career advice? Is it more, hey, can you help me navigate life, and generally vanilla, or hey, I don't know anything, let's break it down? So knowing that will help me answer a lot of these questions on the slide.
Okay. So understanding the context or the stage where they are. Okay. Anyone else? Rosemary? Yeah.
I think also like the channels of communication, some mentors may, like feel comfortable giving out their phone numbers for, like direct communication. Some would prefer email. I think this is like case by case to discuss with the mentees, and then it can be, like set early on in the process.
Thank you. So the way of not only location that I mentioned, but also the way you communicate. So is it fine for you to just WhatsApp to you, or you would like to, just be communicated by email, etc.? Okay. Anything else that you can come up with? Okay. Let's continue on that, and then we can always come back. This other thing is about in the engaging process. Definitely is all about building trust, right? And in the Harvard Business Review, there's a very simple what we call a trust triangle. So the first thing is about authenticity. So often is when a mentee first met with the mentor, right? The first impression is, okay, you are someone, more senior, more experienced. Okay, and how can you build a trust that open the heart from the mentee? And that is by being the authentic you. The intention is actually for the mentee, but not yourself, about how smart you are or how great you are. Of course, you are, in many aspects that you are excel and you are very experienced, but they also want to understand you, not only your working experience. So try to start with more personal story. What you have encountered, what are the real you. The second thing is about empathy. So it's about caring. Show your care. You really care about the mentee, and you also really care about their success. And the last triangle angle is about logic. What you talk, they find is credible, is reasonable, and then they are convinced. And all these three elements make actually the trust built up between you and also the mentee on that. So how can we do it? You say that, about the authenticity, about the empathy, and listening is always the most critical point in a successful mentoring relationship. We all know that listening is so important, but it's also so difficult to make not only listening, but what we call deep listening. There are 3 levels of listening. So what we call is just level 1, hearing, focusing on ourselves. It means that most often you have been easily distracted. Things like, okay, you have your mobile phone on your table, and then your mentee may keep, sharing, talking, and then, your email pops up, your WhatsApp pops up. So this is actually your hearing, but you are still focusing on your work and also yourself. The level 2 is about listening. So you try to really get a little bit deeper in the listening process. That is, you focus on the information in the conversation. Oh, what are your career goals? Okay, what are the challenges you are facing? So you collect information from all the facts that your mentee share with you. And what deep listening is about is we are able to go more deeply into emotional conversations. Just as an example that I share with you about the exchange student in Hong Kong, I have been focusing in my first 2 meetings with him on level 1 and level 2, that is, just getting information, so busy in getting referral to him, be giving comments about the resume, but never really tried to understand more the emotional context. So the deep listening is that you put high concentration, you are very intended to understand the emotions of the mentee. And this has to be done through both the observation of nonverbal communication and also verbal communications. And you are 100% concentrated to understand what your mentee is going to share with you. So the other thing that in your mentoring process that is important is about the language that you use. You have your attention to hear, but when you communicate with your mentee, there are mindful of languages that you have to pay attention. What we call is neutral languages. That means that as a mentor, you don't want to give evaluation or assumption to the mentee. What they share, there's no good, bad, or right or wrong. You can share your opinion from your perspective, but it doesn't mean what your mentee would like to go for or would like to do good or bad. You don't have the assumption. Some of the things like, okay, when you read your resume, there are cases that I would have the assumption of, oh, okay, when I read the resume, I may have some prejudgment whether or not the student can be successful in that area or not that area, or that I would then also jump into the direction. Okay, that is actually the best way that you have to do. Okay, if you are doing in other way, you take a much longer path. So the fourth thing is not personal. Your language should be neutral, and then and there is no critical judgment. So saying that, okay, maybe I would say that, okay, your math is not good enough to work as a data scientist. You are not in that field, you won't be successful. You won't be able to apply for a job in Google. So this is something really personal judgment that should be avoided in your conversation with the mentee. Above all, our conversation with the mentee should be focused on facts and verbal and also nonverbal communication. That is how what we said in the last slide of active listening, and not only the facts that talk, share in your mentoring process, but also being observant about the nonverbal communication. So the last but not least thing is about, in your engaging process during your very first or second, I would highly encourage you to start with your own personal story. So some suggestions may be, what do you do with your degree? A lot of the international students, they are not very clear about what they want to do after graduation. So this would be some thing that they are interested. How can you find your own career? How can you find your passion along your career? What are some of the changes, some of the challenges that you are facing in your career? Maybe if you are working in your profession, what are some of the challenges that you are facing in the industry? And some of personal story about, what you have been doing at USC, what are things that excited at USC. So start with personal story, and remember that in the trust that is about the authentic you, that is something very important, that you start with your personal story and to let your mentees know more about yourself. So Before I jump into another side, any questions from here? I should just pause a little bit here.
Yeah, Etta, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you draw out a mentee who is maybe shy, not willing to maybe share information, or, maybe shy, so you can build a trust? They give you maybe one answer, yes or no answer. How do you draw them out?
This is I would say that if you are encountering a shy or a mentee that tend not to talk too much, right? Start with your personal story. As I said, that would be one thing that is good. And simply is to keep asking questions. So you can drag into something like questions. So why you come to USC? What you want to do with your degree? What are some of the things that excited you at USC? Instead of jumping into maybe something, hard topic. So build up the rapport, but be patient, because that you may be the one who speak more, but keep asking open questions. There are also a thing that you may not want to make assumption that he or she is a shy person, because in the mentoring process, you don't really meet up with your mentee a lot of time. So maybe a mentee is having a bad day. Maybe he's not doing well in the examination, or we don't know, right? Sometimes that they're excited to talk more. Kids sometimes, they tend not to talk more. So if that situation lasts and comes to really a lot of silent mode, I would say, oh, maybe you're tired today. I don't mind, we set up another time that we can talk more, or when you are more comfortable to share more.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of, forcing a dialogue to open up. So that would be something that I can think of doing it. Okay, so the other thing that you would like to do after engaging is definitely to make action. Although that as a mentor in the mentoring process, a lot of time we are share a lot of your experience and ideas, but it's also important actually for the mentee not just take your ideas and sharing, but they also try things out. In coaching, we talk about, starting from one point to another point, and there are a lot of, back and forth process. Because you are not going to meet them many times, and as a mentor, you still want the mentee to set up what we call an action plan. Probably after your first session, you would like to invite your mentee to say, oh, okay, we're going to have 2 to 3 more mentoring time. I would like to understand what are your highest priorities, because for the international students, they may have many things that would like you to help out, okay? But you may want to narrow down what are the most important things that they would like to do. So if say, okay, I think the most important thing in my priority right now is to understand what are my passion. I don't really like the major, or I don't know really know how to deal with my major. So as a mentor, then you can put it down. Okay, if this is something that we would like to discuss in today or maybe next session. So come with the agreement of what you want to achieve. And what is important in the goal, maybe the mentee will say, okay, I really don't know. So these are some of the goals that you may be able, to brainstorm with your mentee. So something related with your personal development, or if you would like to know more about how you, develop your skill, or if, you want to go into certain industry, then we can talk a little bit about, you know, the industry insights. So one goal or two goals at a time in each mentoring session, and make it fruitful in your dialogue and more targeted. But some questions that I would like to ask to the group is, some of the mentees may come up with goals that are in a gray area that a mentor may or may not know if that is something that you should actually support or help. I know that you are all really nice alumni mentor, but I would like to ask you if a mentor would say, oh, my goal actually is to ask you to revise the resume, an example. So how would you like to respond to that? So I have my resume here, mentor, and I would like you to revise the resume. Oops.
I think when I was a student, I used the Career Center as a resource to help me with my resumes and personal statement letters that I used to apply for residency and jobs. So if I don't have much experience in revising resumes, I would refer them to the Career Center for help with that.
So you forward to Eddie.
More work for you, Eddie.
That's all right.
Any other comments about Fatima's suggestion? How about Grace? You had some experience in mentoring, right?
Yeah.
How
Well,
would
I would say to what extent, I think Fatima is right, because the most basic of resume development and so forth, the Career Center can help. But I think I will be not so much with my experience in a mentee, but I have people contacting me just on the network about, you know, either the resume or they're applying for a promotion, things like that. I will be willing to take a look at it, and I will tell them, have you thought about this thing, or have you thought about that thing? Maybe some useful suggestions. Because in my career, I have seen a lot of resumes and hired a lot of people. So what are, from the perspective for someone who is a hiring authority, there might be certain things that they might be looking for. I can use those as suggestion, not saying that, oh, I'll write it for you. No, but you can give some useful suggestions.
Great. Okay. So as a mentor, should we directly edit the resume for the mentee?
I would say only if it's obvious, like spelling mistakes, grammatical mistakes, things like that. Very, very basic. I would not so much work with the content itself, because it is their story that they are trying to express. So not so much with that. It's more with tone or what things is missing when you think a hiring authority will be looking for.
Of course, from my perspective, there are no right or wrong for a mentor to help edit the resume. But if you can recall, as the mentor's role is really to give insights and perspective. Okay, so we are not like a consultant. We are not a paid consultant. to do the work for the mentee. But as a mentor, what is most valuable from our role is really to give insights and ideas and perspective when you receive your resume. So this probably has to lay a very clear expectation, because sometimes the mentee may expect the mentor to do something for the mentee. For example, most often mentee may ask, oh, if I can have your referral of a company to apply a job. I know that you work in Google, or I know that you are connected with the CEO at Google, things like that. So how do you respond to that?
So I think instead of coming in with a bias and saying, hey, no, absolutely not, that's not a part of our relationship, what I would like to do as a mentor is, before I respond, think why not? Like, could this candidate, if not my mentee, would be a good fit for my org? And let them know that this is how I'm going to go about it. That, hey, it's great that we are in touch, but let's just separate our mentee-mentor relationship from your application to this org relationship. Let me help you build a resume for this org instead. And then if we see that you're fit and I'm able to facilitate this for you, why not? We'll do a referral, but it's not a guarantee.
So it's not guaranteed. Okay. Any other suggestion for that? Any other ideas? Again, there's no right or wrong. It's about how ready that you think your mentee, and how trustworthy that you, how comfortable for you to actually refer your friend in the company for that. But I guess, again, it's about the expectation of things that your mentee requests you to do. Sometimes that mentee may come with you with things that they thought this is sort of like automatic, that you are able to refer all the people, all your network, for their job search. And again, I think you may also want to give them back the ownership. I give you an example. For example, like a student wants me to refer a senior executive for his job search in Hong Kong. So most often I would respond to mentee or student in a way that, okay, I'm not going to just forward your CV. Okay, it's easy for me to just forward your CV, but I will actually ask the consent of my friend in that company if they are willing to, read your CV, or maybe potentially arrange a meeting. But you are the one to send your CV with a nice email draft. So you share the responsibilities and ownership between yourself and also your mentee. So that's things that I did between, on this aspect. So things like recommendation for grad school application. And last thing I want to highlight is if your mentee would like to seek for emotional counseling, how would you respond to you as a mentoring role? Oh, I'm really depressed. I have heavy emotional disturbances of what happened recently in my school.
Yeah, can I respond to this?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so if I don't have expertise in that area, I would probably guide the person to take expert help.
Okay.
And to add on to that, I think when someone is coming out with something so personal, even before I would understand the extent of what they're saying, I would like to ask them the very first question right off the bat, that if they've had thoughts of harming themselves, or are they eating 4 square meals, able to handle their daily routine? If not, then an immediate escalation is required to either one of you folks to let them know that, hey, the student's not doing well and we need to intervene. And if that date is cleared, then we can probably follow up sooner than our next regular set meeting to just see how that is going and if they are willing to be encouraged to speak to somebody and get professional help.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for the comments. Use your common sense and judgment whether the case needs to be escalated. We are not doing counseling here. Of course, that we, as a mentor, has to be supportive, good listening, understand emotion, being empathic. But if we sense that there are something going wrong with the mentee on emotional support, then escalate, to maybe you can actually discuss that with Eddie, and or also encourage your mentee to seek support. There is wellness center in the university at USC that they can also be able to support with the students. But remember that we are not in a position, and use your common sense. I think that when you are in dialogue with your mentee, you know to what extent that this mentee would need more emotional support under more urgent or crisis cases. Okay, last but not least, in terms of action, as we said that we would like to set up actionable goals with your mentee. This is what, very commonly used, what we call a SMART goal. Is start from S is being really specific action. M is measurable, something that they can be measured. So for example, like, okay, you would like to be in engineering profession and also to expand your network. Then as a mentor, you can drill more deeply, say, okay, then maybe in the next 2 months before we come to the second session, would you like to have a commitment of how many people in the engineering field that you would like to meet or approach? So what this is called measurable, something that is very, very concrete that they will take action on that. Achievable, not something that, is, really not in the sky, that is, totally just by imagination, but something that between the first session, the second session, that they can do it, they can really try out. Achievable doesn't mean that it has to be 100% successful. Okay, so it's achievable that you can actually complete it, you can actually try it out, no matter or not you may be successful or you may fail from it. But of course, if you know bound to be a failure, you're not going to do it. So also you have to be realistic. And then lastly is also to make it timely as well. So that means that you can take action in almost like what we call immediately and timely. So this is the SMART goal. I don't know if you are in a virtual session, you can ask the mentee to write it down to you. Say, oh, this we have finished the first mentoring session. I want to know what are the goals you would like to achieve in the next few weeks, and then share with your mentee the SMART goal. Okay, things that I want to know is more specific, something achievable, more realistic, and then we will actually review it next time in the next mentoring session. So this will be, from engaging, and then what we call is the action, because most often I would say that the momentum of the mentorship process started maybe the first 2 sessions, and then the momentum may go down. If some of you had the mentoring experience before, you say, okay, it's good. I met my mentor, I learned a little bit experience from them. It's nice that he can give some comments to my resume or refer someone for me to meet. Imagine that at USC they also have a lot of homework, a lot of workload, they are busy. So it's always good to come up with some action plan so that you and your mentee would know what to do next and where to start with to continue the view in your mentoring program. Okay, last but not least is about what we call partnering. Is actually something about as a mentor, as a mentee in Chinese way. In Chinese term, we always say that a mentor is also like a teacher, but also like a friend. It's a lifelong friendship. So you have a 5 month of mentoring program, but I don't think we should stop from May 4 next year. Your mentor and your mentee relationship could can last long as your friend as well. By doing that, one of the things that in your sharing you also mentioned is also about mutual learning. So you appreciate what your mentee has shared with you. What are the insights? These insights may also brighten or open your mindset. And the other thing is emphasize on very positive behavior. Always, it's not just about things to do, but also like a sounding board. Be supportive spiritually. I have an example, just say, my mentee actually would give me a call when she actually had a few of the important interviews. So just maybe 1 second, 2 seconds, say, oh yeah, you can do it. This would actually also change your relationship totally with your mentee. To conclude, I would like to always use my favorite cartoon. I'm not sure how many have watched Kung Fu Panda. Any of you watch that? Raise your hand. Okay. No one, even himself, Panda, ever thought of being the Kung Fu master. And then even his master, the Shifu, never have thought of, how can he become the successor of the Kung Fu master? And then there is one very favorite quote from Shifu saying that I'm not trying to turn you into me, but I'm trying to turn you into you. If you remember how he fought against the fight with the tiger, whenever he has to exercise, his kung fu, he would associate the kung fu, the martial arts, with food. Okay, everyone is different. As a mentor, you're not trying to turn, your mentee into you. Even though that you may be associated with same profession, he may aspire to be as successful as you, but he or she as a mentee, as a different, unique individual. You inspire your mentee, you give insights to your mentee, and hopefully, you are able to invite your mentee to think differently, and he or she can design and continue his road and his path and development during their years in USA. So this is what I would like to share, and I think I only have one slide, is to let you know the resources that you can share with your mentee. In USA, not too many of you know that we actually have 9 global offices beside Hong Kong. We have office in Shanghai, Beijing, Taiwan, New Delhi, Seoul, London, Mexico, Sao Paulo, as mentioned on the PowerPoint. We also have a career service office in Shanghai, which support mainland Chinese students during their studies, and also if they decide to go back to China for their career. So if you encounter any mentees and say, oh, I want to connect with local alumni, or I want to connect with local companies or employers, please do, approach to any of our global office director. We are willing to support all the international students and work closely with all of you. So last but not least, I hope to keep in touch with you. I hope that the workshop that I share with you give you a little bit of insights about your mentorship journey. And this is my email. I look forward to keeping in touch. And with all, I wish you a early Merry Christmas and winter break. And continue fight on And thank you so much for your contribution to the international students.
Thank
May I now pass back to or maybe, I don't know if any questions.
Yeah, Etta, are we gonna get a copy of your presentation just for reference?
Sure, sure. I will send it back to Eddie and for her to distribute to all the participants today.
Yeah, I can send that, probably not today, but tomorrow I can send it along with the recording. Thank you, everybody.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How are you guys presenting this program to the mentees in terms of expectation that we will help them get a job or give them a job?
We're making it very clear that that should not be the expectation. We're doing our best. You know, I know that some are still kind of hopeful that it will help with that, but we're trying to screen out those who, you know, like in their applications, they're saying, I want a job, I want a job, I want a job. And we're reaching out to them to make sure we're kind of mitigating those expectations, because more than that, we want this to be about personal development as well, and just getting the skills they need to be successful in the workforce and building that resilience that they need to kind of persist through all the challenges they're facing. So, and just having a sense of community with all of you. So that's kind of what we're trying to push more than the job focus. But I know that it's easier said than done in some cases. And if you do have a mentee who is, you know, pushing too hard on that, you know, I'm always here as a resource. Like if you have questions or if you need, you know, me to intervene in any way, I can definitely help with that too.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I think there is a question from Malene that in addition to common sense for mental health concern, are mentors affiliated with USC consider mandated reporters in case of crisis?
Yeah, I responded to that. So technically not, because they're not staff or faculty, although, you know, you're welcome to report it. It's not like you can't. But if you were to report it to me, I definitely would be mandated, required to report it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for attending, and looking forward to seeing you all again on January 11th. And by then you should have at least one mentor or mentee match. So look out for the email about your match. And happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Fight on.
Thank you.
Bye
everyone.
now.
Happy holidays. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Eddie. Thanks for
Thank you, Etta.
Yeah.
That's great.
How is it?